Please join me in the opening prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we gather here today. We want to thank you for the many blessings that you've bestowed upon our city. And I want to thank you for the city employees that make this such a wonderful place to live. And then I ask you help guide us, the council tonight, as we go about the business of the city and govern it wisely. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right.
Under our preliminaries, we'll begin with the roll
We
call.
have to be, yeah, go ahead.
I figured it was on the agenda, so I
You talk.
just
Just-
go, just get it going.
Yeah, let her know.
Just a roll call, Allison.
Neese, here, Cotter,
Here.
Merle,
Here.
Neeson,
Here.
and Tom.
Here. Got a screw loose.
I know that for a long time. Oh, boy.
It's gonna be a fun meeting.
It's gonna be a
All right, we do have a quorum. Take it away.
approval of the consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve this consent agenda.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are approved.
Next item on the agenda is recognition of guests. Tonight we have Lacey Hirschvogel and David Karani with HDR for an integrated master plan update. Come on up, guys.
So council, this is Lacey Hirschvogel and David Granny. They've both been working in conjunction with us. They represent HDR on our integrated plan. And they're going to give you an update where we're at tonight. So
Yes, so happy to be here on this beautiful Monday. It was so beautiful out. And so we're going to make this as quick as possible. Last time we were here, Councilman Murrell had chicken grilling, so I assume that that might be the same tonight. So we need to get you back. Next slide, please. Actually, Jeff, you're presenting the first one.
okay. So y'all know the context of this presentation. We went to Missouri DNR 2 weeks ago and had a discussion with them. And while we were up there, we presented basically our case to them on all these improvements that we're going to have to endure for both water and wastewater and stormwater. So with that being said, this is just a summary slide for West Plains, so you all have awareness of what was presented. Utilities, we have a water treatment plant and distribution, which amounts to 166 miles of water lines in the city of West Plains. And then we have a wastewater treatment plant with a collection system of 136 miles in the collection system line. We also maintain stormwater, electric, sanitation, and broadband in the utilities. And as you know, we have a population of 12,304 with approximately 5,500 residential customers and 1,450 commercial customers. The median household is 36,885, and population percent change. This is from 2010 to 2019 is 2.5%. And that's important whenever we start looking at rates and also what our needs are going to be in the future for both water and wastewater. You see there where we have a 1.8 million water and wastewater capital improvement budget that you all have approved for this year. And then a 2 million operation and maintenance budget that's for all the systems that have been noted. So next slide.
Okay, so briefly, just to go back over it, we've been up here several times discussing what the integrated plan is going to do for your community. You've gone through a series of master plans. You have one for wastewater treatment in the collection system, water treatment, storage and distribution, and then stormwater management. So we have been pouring into those, looking through them, and really trying to figure out what the current infrastructure looks like and what you're going to need within the next 30 years. We have determined that the integrated plan is likely going to be a term of a 30-year schedule. So that's what we have been trying to phase out, and we'll go over that schedule here. Next slide. So just to give you an idea of a quick summary of what all of the master plans look like in terms of dollars is the wastewater systems improvement summary came out to about a $60 million project. The way that the master plan has it laid out is that it'll be in phases. So phase one will take care of some of the capacity issues that you're having at the treatment plant. And then phase two really hits at that nutrient reduction, which is a regulatory requirement. With that, there is several issues that were identified within the collection system. So there is a plan to spend about $15 million over the next 10 years to really get at the leaks, the inflow and infiltration leaks within the collection system. Next slide. The drinking water system challenges, that dollar figure amounted to about 43 million. And with that, we really identified the treatment capacity and water storage capacity issues. Now, go ahead and go to the next slide. So with that, when we were looking through the master plan, what the master plan had identified for the flow studies is they were really basing that off of a population of what the population was projected to increase. Well, your population has not grown as significantly as it was presented within the master plan. So what we are recommending is the first 2 years within this integrated plan, we actually go back and do another flow study. Also during the time between that flow study was completed and this new flow study, Jeff and his crew have gone out, they've identified and repaired some pretty significant water leaks. So that was also playing into some of the capacity that they felt was necessary at the water treatment plant. So we really want to make sure that we're designing and we're building towards what the actual capacity needs actually are. Next slide, please. And then we took a look at the stormwater master plan. And that it was identified that 8.1 million should be allocated towards the primary drainage system and the secondary drainage system. And we do have that broken out into 2 phases as well. Right now, I believe that there's a $2.6 million grant being used on the North Fork, Galloway Branch, South Fork, and Burton Branch, which are the first 4 basins which within the priority matrix that you can see here. So you've already started on some of the work within this. Next slide, please. All right, David, I think that is you.
So we spent a lot of time going through all those plans with DNR, making sure that they understood that we knew sort of from an engineering perspective what's needed at these different utility systems. One of the other things that we want to make sure that we address in this plan is not only are we addressing our needs now, but are we looking forward to the future so that we don't have to come back in a few years and change everything up and build a whole new plan or whatever. So we're going to make sure that this integrated plan addresses as best we can based on what we know right now, all of the different wastewater, stormwater, and drinking water regulatory drivers that are sort of in flux right now. And so as we think about how we schedule these improvements and how we engineer these solutions, we're making sure we keep an eye towards these changes. And DNR is well aware of that. They were helpful in that conversation and know that that's what we're trying to get to with this plan. And with that, next slide, please. So ultimately with this integrated plan, I mean, what this really is going to be is a long-term capital improvement schedule, right? And DNR, and one of the things that we spent a lot of time talking to them about was, we went into this thinking that, hey, we're going to have to do all this in the first 5 or 10 years, which is a huge, huge hit for the city. And so they know that we need something that's phased and long-term and staggers, especially these big, the wastewater treatment plant projects, drinking water projects, and then maybe some of these stormwater projects, staggers these out over a period of time so that we can sort of mitigate some of those rate impacts that are likely to happen. And so we started, don't get caught up too much on the dates here. This is sort of just preliminary, trying to stagger these things out. We're working with Jeff, Emily, and the group here to put some real dollar figures to these and really, put this together in sort of a 30-year plan. Once we get the capital dollars in there, then we'll go back and assess what the rate impacts are going to look like. So next time we come back to you, we'll have a more definitive set of numbers, a better outlook on what rate increases look like over the next 20 to 30 years, based on sort of our initial schedule. And then once we get that wrapped up, we'll take that back to DNR and get their final buy-in on it so that we can sort of finalize this and memorialize this first step in the planning process and get that set with them so that we can go ahead and start making some of these actual improvements. Next slide, please. Kind of what I was just saying. So we're obviously want to mitigate these rate impacts. We're going to try and stretch these things out as best we can. I think we showed you this slide before. This is, on the left was, potentially what was going to happen if we implemented all these improvement projects at the same time. To the rates, we're going to try to give something, like we got on the right there, which is an example from a planning project we did in Rolla, it's the same exact situation. And we worked with them to sort of stretch out these improvements so we can mitigate these rate impacts. Next slide, please. One of the other exciting things, and you guys have been dealing with it a little bit with ARPA, but there is a lot of free money potentially coming, I hope, through a couple of different opportunities. The first has to do with the proposed infrastructure bill that's up at the federal level right now. So there's still a lot of flux here and things that could happen. But if that gets passed, as we understand it right now, there's going to be some grant money that flows through the states to the state revolving loan fund program. The grant amounts right now, as we know, it would increase from like $14 to $53 million. And so that would be spread out across the different wastewater and stormwater projects. Now, the catch with some of this is that when the money comes, we're going to have to be ready to spend it because they're going to have deadlines. So that means, in some cases, having bonding capacity in place, having engineering reports ready to go. And I know you guys feel like you've done a lot of studies and a lot of reports. These are a little bit more detailed than sort of the high level assessments that you've been doing. So there will be another round of taking a harder look at the wastewater plant, taking a harder look at the water plant to really start designing what those facilities look like to qualify for some of these monies. In addition to this, if you go to the next slide, please, there's additional ARPA money. So, some of the ARPA money went to the cities. I think you guys have talked a lot about that. The state also has an allocation of ARPA dollars. Right now, they're trying to figure out exactly how they're going to spend that. Right now, it looks like they're planning on about $400 million worth of primarily grant money flowing through to different projects. You can see up here, they've got it split up between stormwater, drinking water, wastewater. There's some money dedicated to identifying lead service lines in the water distribution system. So that's another one. That's one of those water regulatory issues that's sort of coming down the line that people are trying to get ready for. And sort of the same deal here. When the money comes, we're going to have to be ready, have a project ready to go to spend it. This one does have some hard deadlines in place right now. So the money, the way it's set up, has to be allocated to a project by the end of 2024, and then actually has to be spent by the end of 2026. And so we're trying to keep these things in mind as we put that investment schedule together so that we can take advantage of these things when they come. And then with that, the next thing, and I'll bring Jeff up, one of the elements, I don't know if you remember last time we talked, but this integrated planning process has there's like a 6-step process to the thing. One of them is public engagement and community outreach. We're doing a lot of that here with you guys, but there is an opportunity, I think, and it's sort of, we're looking for feedback from you on how, long-term we want to handle this. There's obviously going to be a lot of discussion over the next few years about projects and costs and rates. And so it probably behooves everybody to, really start reaching out to the public and getting input. And I think, we're probably looking for some feedback from you on how you guys want to do that. Not just short term, kind of get through this process, which, we're going to have this plan together in January, but then sort of over the longer term, what that outreach looks like. And we don't necessarily need any feedback right now, but it's just something that we would hope that, we're all thinking about until we can come up with a good plan for sort of how to make this thing work long term.
So with that, what we realized during this process is that we've been very diligent. We've done our homework. We've had all these studies already. Well, the studies are already determining what our path is going forward. And Missouri DNR agrees with these approaches that we've done so far. So with that being said, it's not the public input where it's all put out on poster boards and you put your sticky number on it, on what we want. It's predetermined based off Missouri DNR requirements. So with that being said, the public engagement piece of this has been really condensed and shortened as far as our grant is concerned for the integrated plan. What we was looking at was that potentially bonding by April of 22. That is not the case now. We're looking at potentially bonding in 2024, April of 2024. So with that being said, there's a longer term that needs to take place with the public engagement piece. Okay, so instead of hurrying up and trying to cram it into 3 months, we need to do some things like, next slide. Either side. Okay, that's okay. So we need to do some like water conservation campaign. That would be like our priority #1 thing. You know, every drop we save out of the faucet saves us down at the wastewater treatment plant too. So those types of things that is what we need to be doing with our public and engaging them not only in that, but maybe some town hall meetings later on. But like I said, it's an awareness thing of why do we need these bonds and what's this money going to be spent on going forward? So, and with that,
Yeah, no, with that, I mean, that's kind of where we're at right now. Like I said, next step is we're gonna wrap up our end of the plan by early December, and I forget when we set the next date for DNR, but it'll be towards this end of the year. And I think we plan to come to you guys first before we go to DNR, so we'll show you guys, hey, this is what we're gonna go forward with, make sure you guys are good with it. If there's any feedback or changes, obviously we incorporate that before we take to the state. And then, once we get to that point, we'll get it finalized with them and be ready to go, and then we'll get into sort of this next phase, like Jeff was referring to.
And if any of you would like to attend the next DNR meeting with us.
Absolutely.
we would have you decide how you want to handle that.
They do have a virtual option, but it did not work very well last time I tried to do that. So anyway, so that's what we have for you tonight. Any questions we can help answer?
Dave, you mentioned, if I understood correctly, excuse me, that the money would need to be spent by 2026, or is that
Yes,
committed?
So
our
spent-
Committed or spent?
spent
Yeah.
committed by December 31st of 2024.
The project's in the ground done.
So the money has to be spent. They said that you can still.
Okay, so it has to be committed to that project.
Committed to the project by the end of 24.
Grant
spent-
awards, grant
spent-
agreements made.
Spent
Yeah.
by 26. If
Yeah.
the project goes beyond 26, that's okay, as long as you spend the ARPA part first.
Yeah. I was thinking, man, 2 years, that's.
Yeah, it's tight. It's tight. Well, and that's
got a
why,
big
we-
shovel, boy.
well, and that's why we want to make sure we get this thing done for you guys and then get ready for that next
Yeah.
step, because you'd hate to lose out on, even if it's just a little bit of money. You
So
know?
the money, as long as the money is committed to the city of West Plains for this specified project.
Right.
And we're on track.
Right. And so like for your wastewater treatment plant, that would mean, you know, doing one of those more detailed assessments of having that facility plan done when they come to you, and then you get a higher priority for getting on that funding list.
just the one thing that I would add to that is that most of our studies have shown that the next portion of design is 18 months
From now.
from any time you start it.
Oh, it's a design period of 18 months.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's why we're kind of under the gun on this
Yeah.
thing, really is what it
Yeah.
amounts to. Is that with the ARPA funds that are coming right now, what we're gonna do with those, and then the next step of this is that, you know, we designed something, if we said go right now, 18 months down the road, well, look at the timeframe we're
Yeah.
looking at, so.
Okay, I'm tracking. Yeah, cool. Thanks.
If you're in mid-23, by
Yeah.
the time that happens, if you said go right now.
Thank you both for all your efforts here.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
Appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Thanks.
Next item on the agenda is the reading of the bills. Bill 4694 to become ordinance 4694, second reading. An ordinance to authorize the mayor to execute a generation interconnection and operation agreement, GIA, for the solar farm between the city of West Plains, Missouri and Evergy, Kansas Central Incorporated.
Make a motion to approve Bill 4694 to become ordinance 4694, second reading.
Second.
All right, Jeff, you have some input for us?
No, there's nothing to report. There was no questions asked between the last meeting and this meeting, so.
All right. Anyone else have any? Allison?
Bill 4694 to become ordinance 4694, second reading. An ordinance to authorize the mayor to execute a generation interconnection and operation agreement, GIA, for the solar farm between the city of West Plains, Missouri and Evergy, Kansas Central Incorporated. Nice,
Yes.
Cotter,
Yes.
Merle,
Yes.
Neeson,
Yes.
Top.
Yes. You don't have to read it, the whole thing, just
Just
To the second reading.
to the second
the
reading.
second reading.
You're good.
First day on the job and you get a council meeting. That's really lucky, you know? Bill 4695 to become ordinance 4695, first and second reading. An ordinance of the city of West Plains, Missouri to establish a procedure to disclose potential conflicts of interest and substantial interest for certain officials.
Make a motion to approve.
I have to read it twice.
Oh,
actually. I'm
sorry.
Forgot
It's been a while, right?
Yeah.
Bill 4695 to become ordinance 4695, second reading. An ordinance of the city of West Plains, Missouri to establish a procedure to disclose potential conflicts of interest and substantial interest for certain officials.
Make a motion to approve Bill 4695 to become ordinance 4695, first and second reading.
Second. Sam, you want to
Yes.
discuss this?
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and council members. This item this evening is the annual financial disclosure that actually it's every 2 years, cities are required to pass this ordinance. With the transition between city clerks, we missed our opportunity back in September to have this item on the agenda. And so I reached out to the Missouri Ethics Commission and just sort of asked them, explained the situation, asked them what to do, and they requested, if possible, to have this bill read at twice during this meeting. So in conversation with our city attorney, we do have a clause within our charter that allows for emergent circumstances that are routinely recurring can be read at 2 meetings. It's a distinction between our emergency ordinances, which is a separate animal. But for these normal recurring things that pop up, the city attorney feels comfortable, as do I, that we can go ahead and have both readings on this item tonight. Next step, we'll be getting this information to the state, as well as the information for Allison, for myself, Erlene, as well as the council members and the mayor, to get them their information so that we can start to get every February, usually is when they send that information out, requiring city officials to disclose whether there's been any financial conflicts between their role and their personal lives. So, happy to answer any other questions that might come up.
Has any apparent conflicts been offered up at this point?
No, we haven't heard of anything, and it's a self-reporting mechanism. So typically, once this is approved and once the Ethics Commission has everybody's information, you'll actually get an email to your account that requires or asks you to fill out that information. So it's a self-disclosure.
And we do that ourselves each year,
Yes, sir.
but
Mhm.
instead of this year, we're doing it by this ordinance, correct?
So we need to pass the ordinance in order to get them to put you in the system. So we'll be fine moving forward.
And next year, we'll have our individual
Yes.
forms that we sign.
Yep,
Okay.
correct.
Okay. That's all I have.
Allison?
Bill 4695 to become ordinance 4695, first and second reading. Nice,
Yes.
Cotter,
Yes.
Merle,
Yes.
Neeson,
Yes.
Toplet.
Yes.
Bill 4696 to become ordinance 4696, first reading, an ordinance of the city of West Plains, Missouri, terminating the designation of the redevelopment area for the Farm Road Tax Increment Financing Plan, and declaring certain approvals relating thereto null and void.
Make a motion to approve Bill 4696 to become ordinance 4696, first reading.
Second. Sam, did you want? to
Yes,
discuss
I'll
this?
take this one just briefly.
Okay.
You may recall, if you're on council or if you weren't and you were just paying attention back in 2017, the council approved a TIF, which was around here called TIF number 4, but it deals more specifically with the Farm Road TIF. The developer had 6 months within the passage of the TIF agreement to be able to start work on that, and they did not do so. So our finance director was contacted by county offices a couple of weeks ago, indicating that they still had sort of this information on their books. They hadn't been collecting taxes on it since there wasn't any sort of development plan in place, but they requested that we go ahead and, for their bookkeeping purposes, do what we should have done within about a year or so of passing that TIF, and which was to go ahead and dissolve it. So this ordinance just does that. We consulted with our attorneys out of Kansas City, Gilmore and Bell on the proper procedure. They just said you just need to pass an ordinance that basically undoes what you did back in 2017, and no harm, no foul.
Any other discussion? Allison?
Bill 4696 to become ordinance 4696, first reading. Neese,
Yes.
Cotter,
Yes.
Merle,
Yes.
Neeson,
Yes.
Topper.
Yes.
Bill 1147 to become Resolution 1147, a resolution to repeal and replace Resolution 1130. This resolution is to approve a perpetual easement for the use of approximately 6 acres on the west end of the City of West Plains Solar Farm for shade for livestock and other agricultural uses by the adjoining property owner.
Make a motion to approve Bill 1147 to become Resolution 1147.
Second.
Mayor and council, this was a previous resolution that we had, as you know, we passed this roughly a year and a half ago, I think is when it was, so.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We pass.
Bill 1148 to become Resolution 1148, a resolution to honor, clarify, and replace the previous house and a half water agreement between the City of West Plains and Rick Hoover.
Make a motion to approve Bill 1148 to become Resolution 1148.
Second.
Okay, Mayor and council, this is a resolution that provides clarification on this agreement between us and Rick Hoover. There was a previous agreement that was in place that we are just now putting this on the book so that we have record of it, so.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Bill 1149 to become Resolution 1149, a resolution to approve the administrative contract for the South Central Ozark Council of Governments, SCOCOG, for the accessible playground being installed with funds from the Land Water Conservation Fund, LWCF.
Make a motion to approve Bill 1149 to become Resolution 1149.
Second.
Hi, Emily.
Good evening. So this is the administrative agreement with SCOCOG to oversee the grant for LWCF for the all-inclusive playground there at Butler. It's a normal administrative agreement that we're going to be working through with them, make sure we're following all the rules as required by LWCF for that project.
So we'll be moving forward on playground equipment and
Yeah, starting at the beginning of November, we'll be going out for bid for rock and gravel and the equipment itself.
Right.
And so we hope to bring everything to council in December.
excellent. Any other questions?
Has the city advertised for design of the playground?
Jeff, we haven't advertised. or anything yet. No, we haven't actually advertised yet. Once we get this approval, we'll be working with SCOCOG to get everything in order to be ready to move forward for bids.
All those in favor say R.
Oh, that one got me. Although motion on the agricultural shade area would have been better. than,
That's true.
Bill 1150 to become Resolution 1150, a resolution of the City of West Plains, Missouri, authorizing the city administrator or public works director to execute an agreement with Horner and Schifrin Incorporated for professional engineering services for a sewer line extension in the Mastercraft area.
Make a motion to approve Bill 1150 to become Resolution 1150.
Second.
Hey, Jeff.
Hey, how about that?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is an agreement that we would be entering into with Warner Schifrin to do the design in that Mastercraft area. As you know, when we took in Cedarhurst, there was an adjacent property owner that had an agreement that whenever adjacent property was taken into the city of West Plains, city limits, then they would be annexed and have services provided to them, which includes the sewer lines. So with that being said, this is what this design does, is it makes whole our agreement that we entered into several years ago. So
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Jeff Shipley. Sorry, I stepped on you. again.
No, it's okay.
Old habits, sorry.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Evening.
Evidently, I didn't get an updated agenda because I still show we got another item. But anyway, I wasn't asleep back there. but Anyway. I'm sure I have an old one and it's probably been replaced. So anyway, my deal. So again, I wasn't asleep back there. I just want to make sure you know that. So.
We couldn't vote anyhow. So it doesn't matter.
Okay, first item I have is combustion inspection of both Frame 5 generator units. Back in April of this year, there was a bore scope inspection done, and it was noted that there was considerable mineral buildup on the combustion chamber cylinders, and it was recommended that we have a combustion inspection done on both units. And that's what this is. This is proposals from 4 different companies to have combustion inspection done. This is only for the inspection. If they find anything wrong, it doesn't include labor or material or parts to repair. That's just an inspection. So of the four bidders I have, the low bid is Red River Aquatech. To inspect both units at $71,000.
Make a motion that we approve the bid of Red River Aquatech of LeCount, Louisiana for $71,000 for combustion inspection of both Frame 5 generator units.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Next item I have is to purchase SCADA software, integration services, and 5 years of software support. We did seek proposals for this. This is for the Public Works Department. We did have 2 companies respond. We had OSI, or Open Systems International, and Surveillance Technology. Again, this is for the software integration services and 5 years of gold level software support. The estimated budgeted amount was $144,000. So we are over budget about $11,750, but this includes an additional 4 years of software support. So we felt that was needed. And so TOTH has recommended Open Systems International Incorporated, or OSI, with a 5-year cost of $155,750.
Make a motion that we approve the bid of, I just lost it, Jeff. Open Source International.
Open Systems International.
There it is. Open Systems International Incorporated with a 5-year cost of $155,750.
Second.
Any discussion?
I guess my question would be to Sam and our finance people, or Jeff. Is there a limited number of hours of assistance that they're going to provide at that cost? Or is this keep on asking guys, keep on asking ladies, so we'll know how to operate this software?
Yes, and so if we have, what, Johnny, I think a good context for an example, 4 years down the road, we're having issues with the software. We can reach out to them and then they'll fix it for us, whatever that cost is. That's what's included in this plan.
So there'll be additional cost to fix it?
No.
Okay.
Now, unless it's a mechanical or something like that.
Sure,
If this is a software agreement, so that's what you're approving tonight. It's just software. It's not mechanical.
Okay. So will they build up to that dollar amount, or is that set if they provide us with additional 100 hours of service, or if they provide us with another 500 hours? Is that just blanket all of it?
Yes,
Okay.
that's exactly right. So, you may have year 2, you only have 50 hours, and year 4, you have 150 hours, but you're going to pay the same cost for that every year for the next 5 years for that service agreement.
That's a lump sum for that 4-year period.
Now, That's a yearly charge in there that you're gonna be incurring every year. And we'll roll that into each one of our budgets for the next 5 years.
150,000?
No, sir. There's 5 years and the 28,000, the gold support package was $28,800 for 4 years. So that'd be split out between the 4 years.
Per year? That
Yes,
amount?
sir.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
All right.
So it'd be $7,125 each year you'll pay. Yes.
So what's the 158,000? What's that?
Normally on software agreements, you pay for the license and it's set for 5 years. There's no additional cost. It's a 5-year license. And this will include upgrades to the software too that they come out with, so. And then you just have access to their helpline the whole time you need it.
It's just new to me. I'm thinking. God, that's a lot of
Yeah,
money.
no, it's pretty straightforward. 5-year license, and then at the end of the 5 years, then we'll just ask what the renewal cost is to it.
And
But
at
this
that
will
point in
take care of
time,
the
we
next
want,
5 years.
and at that point in time, I think their next package is silver support package, so it's a little bit less support, so we may decide to do that.
That's
We just don't
5
know.
years from now, though.
Yeah.
So this will take care of us until a lot of us are out of office.
And so we have this in our budget? On an
Yes.
Annual
Yes.
basis? Okay,
Yes.
all right. Appreciate it.
Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, next item I have is 2022 tree trimming for the electric department. This project, if approved, would start very soon, and the project would end no later than March 31st of 2022. As you can see there, I have 3 companies that did give proposals. In the past, when we've done this, we've only done 1 crew. We are asking for 2 crews, try to get a little more done this year. This is for all the equipment for 2 3-man crews of Forestry Services of Poplar Bluff. Has a low bid of $236 an hour. Again, this would end in March 31st of 2022.
Make a motion that we approve the bid of Forestry Services of Poplar Bluff, Missouri, up to $340,000, billed at the $236 an hour straight time, $308 overtime, to end March 31st, 2022.
Second.
Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the last bid item I have tonight is for water meters for inventory. This is simply to replace what we've used over the last few months. This is for 512 from Springfield Windwater at a total cost of $69,120.
Make a motion that we approve the bid of Springfield Windwater of Springfield, Missouri for $69,120 for water meters for inventory.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say yes.
Yes. Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks.
Thanks, sir.
Final item on our agenda tonight is the administrator's report.
Well, I want to take you one step
Oh,
back.
insurance
and
renewal.
Go over an
I'm
insurance
so
renewal. Thank you.
excited. Well, you're doing it anyway, right?
It is exciting stuff. Nope, we received quotes from our insurance broker last week regarding our health and dental and vision insurance renewals, as well as long-term disability and some other items for you. I provided that information to you this evening, but after some negotiation between our broker and our current provider, Anthem, we've gotten the renewal rate down to about 7.1%. Major changes compared next year to this year. We are going to move the dental and vision services back under Anthem. Currently this year, they're provided, at least the dental is provided by Mutual of Omaha. But as part of to help get that rate down to the 7.1%, Anthem asked if they could rebid on the medical or on the dental and vision components as well. So we invited them to do that and they were able to come in. The following pages, you'll see sort of what their cost would be compared to Mutual of Omaha, and they come in lower than what Mutual's renewal rates were. So we felt it was a good deal for our employees and for the organization as well to go ahead and roll those services back under one umbrella that would be provided by Anthem. Again, a 7.1% renewal rate. Everything else pretty much stays the same. We're not making any recommended changes to coverage amounts or co-pays or anything. So really nothing changes except a little bit of a lower price on the dental and vision protection and coverage by Anthem for next year. So. Oh, and this also does include, we asked Anthem to provide some dollars to us for wellness initiatives, and they're providing up to $5,000 for next year to get rolled out on some of our health initiatives. My hope and my goal is that over the next year, we'll work as an employee group to help keep these costs as low as we can so that the renewal rates are as low as they can be as well. So we'll be doing some health and wellness initiatives next year that we'll use some of the Anthem dollars for. I'll probably be proposing some money in our budget for next year as well to provide some of those services just in an effort to get our workforce as healthy as they can be. And the long-term benefit of that is obviously with renewal rates on health and dental insurance, those rate increases tend to be lower if in cities that have a focused wellness initiative. So happy to answer any questions on this item.
Question I have is this just for the city of West Plains or are we partnering? in
Nope.
a group package?
Yes, no, this is just for the city of West Plains. Mhm. Yep.
We have a motion.
Make a motion that we approve the insurance renewal through Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield for 2022.
Second.
I think with the way everything's going up, just an increase of 7.5%. Good job. I know your team put a lot of effort into this.
Well, Sean Nass with our brokerage company, she did a great job for us this year. So appreciate her on that. So.
Any more discussion? All those in favor say we.
We.
Now the
Yes.
administrators report.
A few updates for you this month. Aldi will reopen their doors on Thursday. They had their final inspection late last week, I believe, and looks good. So I saw some asphalt being poured in the parking lot either Thursday or Friday, but they're scheduled to reopen on Thursday. Want to acknowledge our police department. They received a couple of grants for some equipment for the department, namely a light tower, as well as a drone and also some money for a canine vehicle. The city is contributing some matching dollars towards those equipment purchases, but we appreciate the police department for finding those alternatives and options to save some local dollars where we can. Wanted to address a rumor that was brought to my attention over the weekend that's been circulating that we are going to close the pool down at the Civic Center. That is not accurate. We have a desert air system that basically controls the pool temperature, and that has been on the fritz of late. And so we are trying to get a cost to get that repaired, but we had a couple of freon leaks. So in order to keep everybody safe, we just determined the best route was to go ahead and shut that element off. So the pool is not being heated. So as a result of that, we have canceled the senior water therapy classes. But as soon as we can get the unit repaired, we'll get the water temperature back up and allow those therapy classes to continue. But it was brought to my attention over the weekend, and I had to interrupt Todd just to confirm that I hadn't heard something that maybe was true. But no, the pool at the Civic Center will stay open. It is available to the public for swimming right now. It might be a little chilly with some of the temperatures we've had of late, but my kids are on the swim team, and sometimes the colder the water, the faster the swim times. So.
I'm seeing
Call it
polar
that.
bear up there.
Wetsuits.
Yep. Another item, I want to acknowledge Jim Weaver, our operations manager over at the Civic Center. He's been with the city for 28 years. He is retiring at the end of the month. So we're going to have a little bit of a retirement reception at our next Civic Center board meeting, but want to go ahead and acknowledge Jim for his contributions to the city over the past nearly 30 years. He's done a great job, spoken highly of over there. So just wanted to acknowledge Jim for his efforts. And then finally, welcome to our newest city employee, Ms. Allison Skinner, who started today. So. And that's all I have for you this evening. Happy to answer any questions or address any other rumors that might be floating out there.
Rumors. This could be a fun.
There are a ton
segment
of
the
those.
Council meeting is.
All right, I should not make that offer next time.
Well, no other business appearing. May God bless, and we are adjourned.